Hi guys, in this video I'm going to build and paint a couple of these T-Rex models from Tehnolog for Gamma Wolves.
Gruffy Crow.
So this is the main T-Rex kit. We can discount the open canopy, any of the bits that make the pilot straight away. They can all go. Along with the little rocket launchery bits. What we're left with is the connectors that connect the body together, the body, the roof, and then two sets of two weapons. And then that's the sort of waist, legs, sort of shins, and feet, and some little armour. So I'm going to pop all this together. So the only weird thing about this kit is the way the two front halves go together. What you actually do is you pop these weird little anchor pins sort of in here. And that allows you to connect those on the other side as well. And that's how you get the main sort of body together. But first of all, I'm going to go around and just clean up any mould lines or these sort of little sprue connection points and everything. Make sure everything's nice and clean, and we'll get this lot stuck together. Okay, so that's the second one, just the basic kit all glued up. I've super glued the legs onto the base, and now I'm just going to go around any of the joints that I haven't already done and just dribble in a bit of plastic glue to sort of solidify them into place. Still need this, all the glue on it completely set so we can finish filing down all these gaps. But while that's sort of curing, we can look at the second set of elements we're going to add onto this. Now these are going to be 3D printed parts. One of the most interesting is this. I designed this myself on Tinkercad just for this. And they fit over these pins on the legs. That's one of the most obvious bits I didn't like on this kit. You just need a dab of glue on there, and then these slide right over and hide that, and again on the other side. So if we look back at this one, there's a few bits I've glued on here. I've got this little weird flux capacitor looking thing, and I was using that on this one just to hide that hole in the top. So I'll do that again once I've got time to file that down. We've got the secondary weapon system of a rotary cannon under there. So I've got a second one of those so I can make them match completely. This guy's also got a little tank on the back there, and I also put a little tank under here. I also put a little teddy bear under there. I'm probably not going to follow that exactly. I'll do this tank, I think, the same. So that's the one that went there. I've also printed this little bit here. I think it was designed for Gaslands. All of these little bits and pieces are off Thingiverse. They've not cost me anything. I think I'm just going to put that on the nose like this. I'm just going to shave off that top rivet. Nice and careful. Gives it somewhat of a reptilian kind of look. I like it. So I'll add a few more bits and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, since I started building these, I got my Joy Toy Land of the Lost box. Built a whole bunch of other mechs, and there'll be a video for them at some point. One of the mechs in there is a sort of knockoff dreadnought which I've used some parts off in my builds, but these backpacks I didn't use. I actually quite like them. I don't know, I've not handled enough dreadnoughts to know how accurate they are to like a 40k dread, but in my eyes I can kind of get away with them. I don't think they look too obvious. And I'll put these little tanks with the little fuel gauges on the backs here. There's still a lot of sort of empty, undetailed space on the back of these. So I might pop these tanks back off. I'm thinking on that flat space there, that could look pretty cool, and it kind of covers that whole blank area and adds a little bit to the back of the model. So I'm just going to get my snips here, and I'm just going to sort of convince this that it wants to go elsewhere. That was easy enough. And again, file down flat again. Remove all that glue residue. Okay, so these have got a little lip on the back there. I'm just going to take the snips and remove that, neaten it up with the knife. I'm going to take this opportunity just to clean up any other little mould lines. This is that kind of rubbery, rastic stuff like you'd see from Privateer Press or something. So it doesn't take filing very well, but you can scrape it fairly successfully as long as you clean up all the little tails that it gives off. And make sure this is nice and flat. Actually, once it's on there, I don't much like it. It just looks very stuck on, which is disappointing, because I thought this would be kind of a finishing touch. Okay, after a couple of minutes of fairly brutal attacking, I broke my scalpel blade doing it, so I went and got a sturdier knife, and I've carved that down a groove in the middle there, you can see. Allowing that to sit flush there on the back, whereas before we had all that distance there. And then just the pipes stick out, but then the rest of it is sort of inside, and that looks significantly better. So I'm just going to smarten that up a little bit with my file. And there we go, that is what I wanted initially. And do you know what, I still don't really like it, but I think it looks better than it did with just the flat back. Moved it up a little bit, that's better. That I can get on with. Alright, so I'm going to do the same with this one. I'll take the slice out, carve it down. Okay, that is that done. I've also gone in and filled these gaps with a bit of green stuff, making them completely flat. So far I've just sort of sliced it across with a knife to make sure it's flat, but we'll give it a little bit of a file as well. So there'll just be a flat surface inside there rather than the split pin. Those split pins are hidden by the little hubcaps I designed. I'm just checking around the model, make sure there's nothing else we want to clean up, because I think we're done now. I'm going to throw some grey primer on these, and we can look at some paint jobs. Okay, and here they are with some primer on. Yeah, as I said, this is the Halfords Grey. So I'm going to paint these some quite striking colours. I'm going to go for blue on this one, which is the one with the little teddy bear, and then the one with the spikes on the front I'm going to do green, and then I've got another one I'm going to do red, and another one I'm going to do yellow. So they're all going to be, each one of them is going to be big bright colours. And I'm going to do these the same kind of way I do most armoured tanks and things. So I'm going to start off with just the one colour, and then I'll give them a wash. So I'll give the green one a brown wash and the blue one a black wash, I think. And then we'll re-dry brush again with these colours mixed with something a little bit lighter. And that'll give me, I think, a nice base colour before we start putting in any details. And I've just finished the dry brush on these guys, just to bring out those top details. You can see it better on the blue, I think. So we've got those panel lines. So we've got a nice set of layered colours now, lowlights and highlights on that base colour. And the same with the green. I might give the green another little brush round, but you can see like here, yeah, you've still got all those nice highlights in. With the green, I just use a little bit of this sort of Menoth white highlight, so ivory sort of colour, and the white I went with the colder Celestia Grey, but sort of just mixed with the original colours. From now on, the paint jobs are going to be pretty much identical. So my next step is going to be to go around and paint any of the bits that I want in metal, or I want to be black in black. So I've blocked out those areas in black. So under here, the guns, looks quite striking, and we've done some like air vents on these corners and on the front as well. I think pretty much everything else I'm going to leave green or blue. I've done these same areas on both of them. Now I've got this Pringles lid to use as a palette, and I've got this which I built myself. It is a bit of blister foam wrapped around a just an old bit of stick. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this in some black paint, and I'm going to remove most of the black paint, but you can see this sort of pattern it makes. I'm going to dab this in random areas around my vehicle. And we get little bits like that, and it'll pick it up more on the edges, and you end up with some solid black sections. And I try and do a few little darker patches anywhere where I want it to look sort of, you might get a bit of wear and tear. Once I've got that on in a bunch of places, I am actually going to use a bit of black, and I'm just going to brush on some additional battle damage. So along seam lines like this, along the toes. And we're going to use this to sort of show chipped paint. Also these spikes, I'm going to sort of quite evenly paint the tops of them in black. We can even do sort of lines like that to make it look as if something's scraped along it. Next up, I've got some of this Warp Block bronze, formerly tin bits. I'm going to use that in these sort of shell casings all in here, because we're going to give them a nice bronze look. But I'm also going to use it in the windows, and that'll be the final colours blocked out, I think, basically. I've got the tin bits on, and I've done things a little bit out of order. What I should have done next is going to be transfers. These ones are some nail art transfers that I bought specifically for this, and I'm going to use these as nose art. The green one I reckon is going to get this girl here, holding a little paddle or something, and the blue one I was going to give this girl crawling forward to, and hopefully they should be quite distinct. And I tried these out initially on these other mechs that I made, which you can check out the video for, and they actually worked out really well. And they've got a proper white background, so they show up quite nicely. I've also got stacks and stacks of leftover bolt action transfers, so I might try and pick some random places and just add some random numbers and letters and things. Got Blood Bowl stuff too as well. I might throw in a few of these. I might throw in one of these on each of the mechs for this faction as well. So like little eagle wings. In fact, I might use a few of these bits and pieces. That could be kind of cool. So maybe if we've got the nose art on that side, I might add a little number and a pair of wings on that side. So yeah, I'm just going to go around, and I think decals like this, even just sort of completely random ones, add a kind of bit of realism to this kind of model, and kind of gives it some sort of weird scales and stuff. So what I'm going to use for this is another Pringles lid with a bit of water in it, and then I use a combination of GW Hard Coat, and I use this and I prepare the area with a little bit of this, so it's a little bit glossed, and while that's still wet I slip the transfer on, and then I use some of this Lamium Medium, and that not only knocks down the gloss again off this and should make it completely invisible, but it also sort of, I don't know, kind of has the effect of blending the transfer in with the surrounding area. Something a bit like this. So we've got nose art, we've got sort of team markings, squad designation, serial number. I'm going to do some of these random square numbers on the back, but I've done the same serial number, so that's clearly the model number for a T-Rex. Yeah, different nose art. 2, and I did pick 1 and 2 specifically, and points to anyone who knows the stupid theme that I've gone for, and will continue to match up with the rest of mine. Okay, and now the Lamium Medium's dry, the decals there's still a bit of a sense that they're there, but they kind of blended right in with the rest of the paintwork, and they look kind of painted on. There's no extra shine to them or anything. And this is why I said we were doing things in the wrong order, because another thing that really helps these blend in is we've got my little dabby black again. I'm just going to go back where the areas where I did it before, but this time make sure that that wear and tear is on top of the decals, and it kind of makes it a bit more obvious they're part of the paintwork. And now we're back on track with some of this pig iron, which is a dark silver colour, and anywhere where a lot of that wear and tear sort of joined together and we have black patches, I'm just going to sort of stipple in some of this metal like that. I'm going to have a bit here, so in the centre of the black, leaving some of the black around the edges. I'm just going to put that there, like the paint's chipped off or worn off. And we're looking for these sort of irregular edges. I think that's working quite nicely. There's our scratches we did earlier. As well as doing those, I'm going to use the same metal but knock a bit back off my brush. And I'm going to pick up the edges of some of these grills and things as well. So it looks like they're metallic but obviously dark. And I think that pretty much accounts for all the black on this model. It's either going to be areas that I want to do this sort of wear and tear sort of pattern on. This bit that's particularly rough, we'll get some silver in there. Or it's going to be areas that I want to have this sort of metallic sort of style to without being all the way metal like that. Like I said, we've even got spots here now where the black's on the transfer and then we can do the metal and it just blends the whole thing together. You can't really see that. And I'm really liking the contrast between the painted parts and the metal parts when we do bits like that. And of course the reason we did the tops of those horns black should now be obvious. We'll make them look nice and sharp by doing like a little edge highlight. The bullets on the side here, I'm just going to hit with a bit of this Retributor armour. It's a little bit too yellowy, but I don't really have a brassier colour. And anyway, it makes them sort of look more striking. Okay, we're on the home stretch now. I've gone and grabbed this lighter silver and the warp block bronze, the tin bits. I'm going to mix a bit of this silver in with it, and this is for the windows. So I'm going to so in the light at the moment we've got that reflection on the outside of the window. I'm going to fake that with a bit of this down that edge. So even when that light's not shining on it, can't really shine in the camera, but there we've got the fake reflection. I'm then going to keep on with this, but a little bit more watered down. I'm just going to add this real gentle to the centre of some of these panels, just as a sort of highlight. I think I might go a bit lighter with those reflection lines actually. There we go, and they look suitably sci-fi now I think, but there's a little bit of colour variation. I think the last thing I'm going to do is I've got some null nile wash here, and there's a few places like just on the edge of that decal where we kind of lost the shadow, and a few other little bits and bobs that I just want to tidy up with a bit of this. And we can use this to add in like dark patches where we want them, or sort of fake sort of grease strips and stuff. Actually, maybe those bullets are a bit shiny. Just got a bit of earth shade here, just to blend them back in with the sort of tin bits underneath. So rather than being quite that yellowy. I think that's done. So I'm going to get the bases. I'm really not going to do anything very exciting. I'm just going to do a few shades of grey. Maybe if I can find a couple more of these dry grass tufts, I might use those. I'm going to just sort of go for like an ashy wasteland again. And if we get a little bit up onto the feet, it kind of just looks appropriate because it, I've been stomping through the ash. Let's not forget the black base rims. I always think that's the finishing touch on any model. I'm struggling a bit here because my box of sort of scenic bits are all very sort of verdant and bright and sort of alive, the beautiful grasses and colourful tufts and things. Whereas I very much want these bases to look as dead as possible. Alright, what we've got here is some birch leaves. So this is what they look like before I unmix them. If I spend the time to unmix them, you can pick out these sort of lovely, almost maple leaf shaped bits. I found that one of the speediest ways to do this is with my scalpel. You just sort of spike them, transfer them like that. And if you live in England or anywhere else silver birch trees grow, you can make these yourself quite easily. You just need to find the sort of little birch catkin things and pull them apart, but let them dry first and then pull them apart, and this is what you end up with. If you like the look of these and you want to pick them up for yourself, the link will be in the description. They are very affordable, especially if you buy a few bits and pieces. As I said, there's some interesting bits of terrain on there. So yeah, have a scoot around the website. And if you followed some of my other videos, you'll see there's also some dwarves on there that I used in my Oathmark army. I've got a couple more bits and pieces to finish for this team, and then I will have a second Gamma Wolves team to go with my first one that I built, which I'll link in the description as well. So hopefully now I can get some games of Gamma Wolves in, and maybe even a battle report. And that's all for this video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments, maybe subscribe for more, and as ever, thanks for watching, bye!